Hi, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you, Sharron.
And welcome everybody to Chris's interview.
Thank you.
The first question for Chris is, can you tell us about your background and how your career led you here?
Gosh, that's a big question.
I know it is.
Right, well, you might be able to tell from my accent, I'm originally from New Zealand.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I am.
Now.
A long way away.
Now you. That's a very small world,
It is,
isn't it?
it's a long way away as well. But I came over here many years ago in my very early 20s, and I ended up staying here and studying. I had a British passport because my dad was from Liverpool, and I ended up studying here in London. And then my very first job in housing was I worked in the homeless persons unit, working with rough sleepers in the city of Westminster.
Homeless people.
That was my back, yeah. It's very interesting because I was working for the council, helping people get housed, and one of the organisations that we tried to get people housed in was Look Ahead. And this is back in the 90s, in the 1990s, so that's when I first became aware of Look Ahead. Anyway, I moved on from the council and did various jobs, and I worked for a housing association before ending up at Look Ahead about 25 years ago. It's a long time ago. And then I came in here and did various jobs. I was doing policy and strategy. I worked.
You've done quite a lot, haven't you?
It was quite a lot, yeah, new business. And then I got a job running operations, and then the chief executive called Victoria Stark, who was here for many years, left. She retired, and I applied for the job, and I was fortunate enough to get the wonderful job of chief executive of Look Ahead, and I got that back in 2015, and here I am.
And there you are,
Yeah.
Chris. You're a very lucky man.
I am a very lucky man, very much so.
It's your turn, John.
Hi, Chris. Thank you again for agreeing to
John.
do this interview. So my next question for you will be, what motivates you when you're at work?
That's a good question as well. That's a very good question. I mean, as you can imagine, Look Ahead's quite a big organisation. We operate across London and the South East, and we've got about 13 or 1400 people. We've got lots of services. We've got about over 100 services. So sometimes it's quite grueling sometimes. There's never a dull moment at Look Ahead running the organisation, whether it's operational challenges, financial challenges, whatever it may be. But whenever I'm finding it particularly challenging at Look Ahead, and I mean this sincerely, what I do is I spend some time out in the services, or I go on visits to see services, to meet the customers and the frontline staff, and all sorts of different schemes, because we work across different client groups. It motivates me. It reminds me what a fantastic non-profit organisation we are, and just how we fill a gap in delivering services to people who might otherwise not receive them. And that's what motivates me and keeps me going. And we're doing some fantastic stuff.
I agree, you are. Thank you, Chris. I'll pass you back to Sharron.
Thank you, John. Right, Chris, your third question is, do you like your job?
Do I like my job? There's ups and downs with the job, but overall I really do love it.
Yeah,
And,
but that's normal to have ups
that's
and
very
downs.
True. It is ups and downs. We all have
Yeah.
ups and downs, don't we? And I think the ups certainly outweigh the downs with the job. And you know, when I go and see services that we run, and the projects we've set up over the years, and how we're constantly changing, and the fantastic work we're doing, particularly with local government partners or the NHS, I get a real buzz and a sense of achievement at what Look Ahead's doing, and I think that's fantastic. And then I meet customers who've come into our services and often leave, and living much more independent lives than they did when they came in, with the support they receive, and I think that's fantastic. So that gives me a real buzz. So yeah, it's a brilliant organisation to work for, and also it's an interesting organisation, because when I first came here, it was a much smaller organisation, and it's grown and grown, but it's retained its original values, if you like, and it's like a big organisation, but more of a family type feel often within it. And I think that's really important. We haven't become too corporate, but we have to be professional.
You
And I
have
think
to
we get
be
that-
professional,
and
yes.
I think we get that blend right, and long may it continue.
And certain boundaries
Yes,
as
oh,
well.
boundaries are
yes,
important,
they're very
yeah.
important.
Yeah, I think, you know, when I look at the work the frontline staff do day in, day out, and the challenges they have, and I'm full of admiration for the work the frontline staff do, and the way they interact with customers is brilliant, and I think that's what makes Look Ahead look ahead.
Thank you for that, Chris. So our next question for you is, can you tell us, what does a day look like for you?
What does a day look like? Well, no 2 days are usually the same. I think when you're running an organisation like this, you juggle different sort of balls. Some days I'm dealing with board members. We've got a terrific board. There's board meetings. There's other meetings with my fellow executives where we look at all the challenges. We look at how the organisation's performing, what's going well, what's going not so well. So we have a lot of meetings like that. Other times I'll be dipping in and dipping out, talking about properties. And we're doing a lot with our properties, investing money in our properties, so there'll be meetings around that, or disposing of properties, buying new properties. I'm often talking to staff about in meetings around money and finances, contracts, talking to local authorities about new partnerships, what we could do with them. As I say, I go out to services as well and spend some time in services, meeting staff and customers. No 2 days are the same. And part of my job as Chief Executive is also I need to be quite externally facing, to be a bit of an ambassador for Look Ahead. So I often get invited to speak at events or to go to events, sometimes to meet politicians or policymakers, senior people in government, the NHS, to talk about the things we do and what we could do. So it's a huge variety. I think that's one of the huge joys of running Look Ahead, and that's the privilege about being a chief executive. There's a lot of variation in the job.
Thank you, Chris. Now back to Sharron.
Number 5, what does the future of Look Ahead look like?
I think the future for Look Ahead is really exciting. It's interesting because while we still do this, we still run many of the same services for homeless people, young people, etc., that we have for many, many years. We're also evolving and we're not standing still. And particularly interesting, I think you'll see on the news a lot about the pressures on the NHS and how people are in hospital when they should no longer be in hospital and they need to be discharged more quickly, or people that go into hospital or into various settings that don't need to. And Look Ahead's a very interesting organisation because we're increasingly positioning ourselves to be that interface between housing, supported housing, social care and health, where we're actually working to stop. So if people don't need to go into hospital or don't need to be kept into hospital, they can come and live in a supported living scheme. And we can support them. Because people don't, they go to hospitals for emergencies or when they need
But when
treatment.
it's really serious,
That's right,
emergencies.
exactly. But it's not a place to stay in the long term.
No, it's not a long-term thing.
No, that's right. And that's where I think we come into our own, and we use in our buildings and our accommodation more to make sure that people don't have to be there. They can be in more homely environments, and the kind of environments we live in with support staff. And it's interesting, we've got some new models of service that do really, for me, do signify the future. And we've just opened one in Barnsley Street in East London where we work alongside clinicians, nurses and our support workers right in the heart of East London. So people don't have to, if people go to their GP and they've got anxiety or a mental health issue, they can go to this sort of setting or they can be referred there. We've got emergency beds. So it's an integrated type of way of working where you've got support workers, nurses, clinicians all working together. And I think that's fantastic. It means people don't have to go to hospital, don't have to go to A&E. They don't have to spend more time with the GP than is necessary. They can come into a setting where they can get support. And we've got beds there where people can stay overnight. But we've got lots of different types of services. We still run our rough sleeping services, and I think we're going to be staying in rough sleeping. It's interesting because that's where we started. That's where Look Ahead started 50 years ago, was in homelessness, and we do run some terrific homelessness services, and we run some terrific learning disability services. We're really trying to work with people to get them out of hospital so they don't have to be in hospital or in institutional settings, and they can live again. It's all about living in homes.
It's like when they come out of a low secure unit or a
Yes,
high
that's
secure
right, Sharron.
unit.
Yeah, that's exactly what. And people generally are much happier living in a street or a small house or a home rather than being in a big institution. And that's what I think Look Ahead's unique position is. So the future really is about us being able to provide those sort of services in the community.
Oh, thank you very much,
Thank you,
Chris.
Sharron.
Back to John.
And you'll probably be pleased to hear this is the last question we have for you. What do you like to do in your spare time?
Oh gosh, what do I like to do in my spare time? Well, I have a pretty busy life outside Look Ahead. I've got, there's 3 boys. 2 of them are still young. Well, 16 and 18, the young ones. So I have a pretty active life, just running, ferrying them around, doing all the activities and dealing with all the problems and challenges and demands you have from having teenagers. But I do keep pretty active. I think I have to. It's good for my own mental health to cycle. I do a bit of swimming and cycling. I keep myself pretty active, and I think I have to. I have to have downtime to switch off. I played a bit of sport. I was playing tennis up to a few years ago, but then I'm getting older, and I did manage to rupture my Achilles, so I've slowed down on the racket sports at the moment. But I keep pretty active between exercise and the family, and I whiz back to New Zealand once or twice a year whenever I can to see my mum, who's very old now. But so yeah, it's a pretty full life.
Thanks for that, Chris.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for answering our questions.
Thank you both.
And and look forward to meeting you again soon.
Yeah, I'll
Thank
see
you.
you soon. Thank you, Sharron. Thanks, John.
Again soon, John.
Thank you very much.
That was brilliant. So lovely. I really enjoyed this.
Brilliant.
It's good.
Really good job.
Yeah, thank you both.